list. We're going to take a quick look at your work that you did. I can't even think of the word to say.
Yeah, by the way, I really liked the way that you wrote everything out too.
Yeah, I just was doing well with Excel. So going back and forth from one screen, like one site, then having to go back to like Excel, I was just getting frustrated because I just wanted to do cut and paste and just get, I mean, how many did you do? You had like, how many?
I only had 9 or 10.
Okay.
Because I just kind of picked the ones that I thought were really representative of what was in my immediate area too. Because like as a parent, I don't want to drive more than, I know people do, but I don't want to drive more than, half an hour to get to a school. So,
but Amy's in a rural area, so her situation may be similar and may be different. So yeah, like what you've got to start with is perfect. And if you can continue to add to it as you go along, it's just of a benefit to you to have a sense of who's out there. And then if you talk to some of these people who are running these schools, you track the notes, take notes on that. But let me do a quick screen share just so that when we have your recording, you can actually see this. I know you might not be able to see it right now, but Amy, you can see her document, right?
Yep.
So I took a look at it. Amy took a look at it. So there's Montessori, there's a high school academy, there is a Christian school, there is a traditional public high school.
Catholic college prep.
Catholic college prep. Yeah. So it's pretty basic. It's not unsimilar, Jen, to like what's in my neighborhood here in Harmony.
Okay.
Basically, we've got public schools, and then the private schools tend to be Catholic. The only difference that you've got is that you've got a charter, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're saying that it's one of the top charters in Michigan. And actually, ironically, one of my students went there, and he actually told me to check it out because he said it was pretty similar values, but I didn't really catch that on their website, that it was similar values. It was just more really, is it STEAM focused, STEM, STEAM, STREAM? Okay. I don't know, math and technology focused and science.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty common. Pretty common. So I'm looking, and you're like, most of this is you're looking at middle school, high school, right? Because your students that come into your hockey program are middle school, high school students, right?
I have, we have 8-year-olds, quite a few 8-year-olds up to, high school. It was the middle school, high school that are really pushing me to open up an academic school.
Yeah, it makes sense. And that's, like Amy's got a more like an elementary to middle school school. Cam's school is basically middle school, high school too. So when I look through these, one of the sort of red flags, it's not bad, but one of the things that pops out is that, when you're not going to do the free public education or go to the magnet school, your choices are Christian based. They're either the Christian school or the Catholic school. So I know that you want to have those Christian fundamentals in your school, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I don't think that they should be the most important part of your marketing. Part of what we're doing is we're looking for, how is this uncommon, what are you calling it again? Uncommon?
The uncommon.
The uncommon.
The uncommon?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, if it's already being called uncommon, then you should really be playing up the ways in which it's uncommon. And that is your niche. It's uncommon to have a school that's in the same building as a hockey arena. Uncommon to have something that's geared for kids who, want to live a life that's heavy on sports, but also leadership and service. in some weird way, your task is a little bit easier than other people's because you already are different. You know what I mean? And so what I want us to do is, in your case, to figure out, how to really play that up.
I kind of was already talking to my ideal family, and I already told them they were my ideal family, but explained it to her that, like, it's how I wrote my book is an ideal reader. So there's multiple ideal families out there. It's just like they have the character, values, and understanding. And I was already explaining to her, it's like when I was doing my research, I kind of put in my email, nobody's talking about like overall physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health and wellness. I mean, I don't like the word wellness, but I really, to be uncommon, we really want our school to be training based, not just hockey, but just overall health and enjoyment of keeping your body healthy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you can focus on that sort of the three parts of any person is their body, mind, and spirit. So your hockey primarily focuses on the body. School and the other bits of training are mind, and spirit are your social and emotional pieces, and the Christian training that you bring into that program. So I can see you really focusing on, this is a school for body, mind, and spirit. It's for the kid who's really interested in sports, really specifically interested in hockey, but also wants to have that play a larger role in their life than just some after school activity.
Yeah.
So when I look at the list of schools, Amy, did you have anything else you wanted to say as far as what you're noticing?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm going to suggest that you just keep focusing on, here's the thing, you're going to have teachers that are going to come in and they're going to provide the educational experiences that support these kids and their interests behind hockey, but primarily focusing on, this is a school for kids who are like, hockey is their major passion. I mean, that's how they find their way to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that marketing your school as a hockey centric or sports centric school is going to do, it's going to be very easy to sell. For the kid who eats, sleeps, and drinks hockey.
How can I definitely want to keep it though, like 50-50, like
Okay.
a somebody who's, what did you just say? Like eats, sleeps, and drinks, their sport, but is also academically like driven to succeed that way too. Like,
yeah. So where I'm at is like, I know most kids have an unrealistic goal or unrealistic view of what sports can do for them. Kids see the watch, the top NHL stars, and they'll think that's what I want to do. And
right.
Maybe they'll get to do it and maybe they won't. And even if they do get to do it, there has to be something after sports, because you can only, I don't know what the average lifespan of a hockey player is. I think it's longer than like a football player, right?
Well, their NHL career is 4.5 years average.
Okay, so wow.
So it's over like that.
Yeah.
So, your school can be preparing the student to figure out, so if they're aiming for that NHL career, it's taking into account the knowledge that career may only last for 4.5 years.
Right, that career and beyond.
And
right.
You're building enough leadership skills and maybe business savvy, or this idea of, how can I still be involved in hockey? What are all of the tertiary businesses that support hockey and or career paths, like medical, sports medicine, training, massage, chiropractic. I mean, I'm just thinking of all of the people who support sporting people, right?
Yeah. Or even like my ideal family, they're really math oriented. So, they love their hockey, but that's where I'm going with like the 50-50, where like they want me to open up this school, but with a focus of, you know, the physical aspect of it, and just they love how their kids feel and act and behave after training with us. But they also want this school to be a platform or a stepping stone towards their ideal college.
I gotcha. Okay, so you really feel like your ideal clients want this to be college prep.
Yeah, and I'm very big on that. I mean, I can get you guys to your NHL goals, but not at the expense of, you know, not being a better human being and being stupid, like, for lack of better words. I mean, I want you to be educated and be a contributing person of the society while you're either playing or definitely after. Like,
I gotcha.
I'm very big on keeping your brain growing.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, we're sort of putting the cart before the horse, because my brain's starting to wrap around, because I know part of what Amy and I have to do is to coach you a little more intently on who you're looking for as the teacher that will come in and support the backside of your business. But I'm pleased with the work that you're doing on your market research so far. I think, you know, part of it is to help us get a sense of where you are and what's possible. So I think it's absolutely time to move into doing a little bit of legal research in Michigan to find out what is going to be the legal stance you're going to take. I'm going to recommend that you do an LLC, unless you already, like, how is the hockey program set up? Do you already have an LLC?
Yes.
And do you have any connection to a nonprofit?
No. How do I do that, or why would that be recommended?
I don't necessarily recommend that you do it, at least not at first. Amy, I think
My personal stance is that if you want to retain control of the school for a legacy type of situation, then you wouldn't want to form the school as a nonprofit, because that turns it over to a board, which you wouldn't necessarily be on.
Yeah, and I've actually heard the story of a number of people who've opened their schools as a nonprofit and have actually been voted off the board.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to see that happen to you.
That would so.
What's that? That would so be you?
I've already even felt like a Steve Jobs in my own business, where, you know, you guys want to try and fire me? Okay.
Yeah. So, but you're going to move into module 2, which is going to walk you through the legal research piece, and it's going to help you to start to think about the stance. So you're going to, you know, I have a graphic in here that'll walk you through sort of the way that I envision where micro schools sit and how they're different from public and private. In a lot of ways, I believe that what we're doing is just a game changer, because you hold the bag of money as the owner, as the sole proprietor of your school. Therefore, you make the decisions about what happens, and you can be really responsive to the things that the families are asking, and you can hold really tightly to your vision. You know, when you're in public schools, it's the school board that actually makes all the decisions, and then the superintendent makes that stuff happen. Private schools, there's a little more parental control, but usually they're big organizations with boards, and so there's all kinds of agendas. Charters, you have to have a founding group, and because it's still state tax money, you still have to do standardized assessments, and you have to follow the standards, and so on. So when we move all the way up, you know, when you get to homeschooling, the parents are taking back the control. And in micro schools, there's a lot more control. Amy gets to decide exactly what happens every single day. Her parents can weigh in on it, but at the end of the day, every choice is up to her. Mm-hmm. And people can decide to stay with her or leave based on what she's doing. so which allows her to be much more responsive to her students. So what we're going to do is you can look into some of these other existing models if you want to talk to your teacher friends who might want to work with you, share this graphic with them and see what they know about some of these. The biggest ones that you've seen, there's already a Montessori school in your community, but some of these other models are things to consider. I don't want you to necessarily take on any of these models, but knowing how they situate themselves. The most sort of radical and different are the democratic schools and the Sudbury schools, because they basically just, the kids gather and the kids are learning and the adults are providing them space to learn, and there's no curriculum and no classes unless the kids want those things. I'm
How do
thinking,
they learn?
what's that?
How do they learn?
How do you learn? How are you learning anything that you do?
A variety of ways. I mean, reading, experience, action, examples.
You have an idea of something you want to know, and you just jump on the internet and do a quick search and find some books, or you talk to somebody who knows more than you do. That's how the kids learn in a Sudbury school. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, and I'm not thinking that you're going to go that direction, but I wanted you to know it's basically a group version of unschooling, which is also a thing now too, where parents are not, their kids are listed as homeschoolers, and their kids get to decide what they want to do every day. And the parents are not making them do anything. And I think it has decent results. I mean, if nothing else, the kids are a hell of a lot happier because they're doing the stuff they want to do. They're not getting bullied. They're not truant.
Say that, yeah, they're in a safe environment, but yeah.
Anyway, I don't think we're going to go there, but you can look through some of that. So Amy is working you were actually considered a private school, right?
I'm a private school. Yeah.
Your state may allow that. It was pretty easy for Amy to get that. Cam, she actually is not even listed as a private school. In California, there's a step below that. There's like an approved private school, and then there's just operating as a private school. But lots of our states, that's not really an option. So we're going to take a look. You're going to take a look, and we'll look at it with you at the State Department's website to see what the school code says for Michigan. To find out, could the students be signed out as homeschoolers, and you're operating technically as a homeschool resource center, which would make the kind of work that the teachers would do different? Would you function more as a private tutoring center? That's actually what I would do here in Pennsylvania to start, because I don't have the number of people wanting my services as you do. I could open a tutoring center and have up to 4 students without having to register as a private school. So I would make a very elite private tutoring center for kids who wanted to do business incubation. And I'd charge probably $25,000 per student to do that, because I could make that work financially.
How do I kind of started looking on the state's website a couple, before I signed up with you.
Okay.
Amy, did you, or Mara, do you know of, do we have to go before the board? Before the state, and actually the little bit of research I was doing, it sounded like if I was going to do a charter school, I have to present my information to the state, and they can yay or nay it.
Yeah. So part of why I generally recommend that you do not become a charter school is you have to do a formal application. You will still be held to the Michigan state standards. You will still have to do assessments. You'll have to have a building, curriculum, staff, all of your documentation ready to go. In Pennsylvania, basically, to become a charter school or a private school, you have to have just about everything ready to go, and then get reviewed before they give you the stamp of approval. What we're doing with our micro schools is we're actually working around those rules, and we're not operating as either one of those things. Amy, I mean, you are a private school, but you're not like the big version of a private school, right?
She's
Oh,
still there.
I don't know. She doesn't look. She looks like she might have dropped off. So, what I want to show you is where you can go to get that information. So, I'm on your Michigan government or Michigan Department of Education website. I'm going to look for school code. That's where you would find legally what's required of schools. So here's the Michigan Revised School Code. It's, I'll be honest, it's not going to be fun to read, but I want you to at least scan through it. Well, that's actually a HIV sex ed. That's not what we want. We want the full school code. Actually, that might be it. It's just that no, that's only 6 pages. The school code's generally a good bit longer. So I want you to look for that and find the school code. I also want you to search for any regulations regarding homeschoolers.
Okay.
Because that's one of the ways that we can open your school is you can work as a homeschooling center. And
Yeah, can I be frank with you? Because you said a key thing there about it not being fun. When does this, like, I was starting to have a little bit more, like, I was getting, like, a little frustrated, like, having to do the research for the schools because I just want to work on my school. I understood the reasoning behind, you know, having an understanding of what's around here and what's lacking and what's, you know, people are doing. After this legal stuff, does it get a little bit more fun?
absolutely, because we're going to move into starting to create your marketing. But I will be quite honest with you. I have seen so many people just do the fun stuff first, map out the school, pick out the furniture, find a building. And I have them posting on my Facebook group all the time. I can't find family. I can't get people enrolled.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're taking this seriously. This is a business. The whole point of looking at what's already out there to figure out the gap is because I'm not going to encourage you to build this school if you don't have something that's different. And you do. You actually do. But I also want you to know who's your competition.
Right.
You've got a good enough sense to move on. But the next thing we have to figure out is how restrictive is the state of Michigan? And are you going to want to apply to become a private school? Or are you going to want to start as a homeschool resource center first? So this is like it says MDE, non-public and homeschools. That you definitely want to find that page. You want to read about non-public schools because that's potentially what you're going to file as, and you're going to want to read about homeschooling because we can do one of those two things. This is how we can sit. Part of what we're doing is you may eventually apply to become a private school, and you might even decide, and you and the teachers might decide you want to file to become a charter school. But before you do that, you're going to open as a proof of concept, as a small version of the ultimate end school that you want. And you're either going to have your students be listed as homeschoolers and work with them that way, or you're going to be working as a tutoring center. Whichever will work with the state of Michigan's laws. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah. I guess my question to you would be, or where my mind's going is, just because, you know, when I get busier and busier, do you see, I mean, I'm probably a different client of yours, but like the whole administrative stuff and paperwork and registering them as homeschoolers and stuff, is that where I would probably want to hire an assistant or like somebody to do that stuff behind the scenes?
You might, but frankly, as the owner of the school, you need to know how all of this stuff works, and you have to be able to, you know, you have to know how it works before you hand it off.
All right.
You know, like I just hired some people to do my business in accounting for micro school builders, but I'm responsible for the money that comes in and out because my name is on the LLC. So I have to understand my budget and I have to understand all the light items and how they go in. I just hired Amy to help me do this work, to help me coach Micro School Builders Workshop. But I had to build that first, and I had to understand the processes before I can have her help me do that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Come on, you can
Yeah.
look. This is just we're just doing push-ups, Jen. I know you know how to do this, and don't make me sit you down and give me 20.
But I can handle that.
I know you.
I understand that this is gonna. It's work that it's knowledge that I need to gain. I get it. That's why I do.
We're gonna back you up on this. Amy and I are gonna take a look at this stuff too. But the problem is, if I do it all for you, then you won't know where this stuff sits. You won't know where to go to get the answers when you run into a roadblock. You know? I mean, if you got a call from the State Department of Education saying that you're in violation of the school code, that would not be a good thing. But you would also want to be able to say, well, actually, technically, I'm not, because in paragraph blah, 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 we can operate this way, and this is how we've situated ourselves. So,
okay.
That's what we're doing. Amy has read the school code and knows that she can function as a private school in the state of Minnesota. Cam has read the school code and knows that she can function as a non-approved private school until she hits the student number 40, at which point she has to apply to become an approved private school. But she's done the research to figure that out. And they've both made the decision not to work under the homeschool law. So you need to take a look at non-public school membership. I will send you a link to this page since I've already brought it up.
I love you. Thank you.
Well, I just brought it up. There's no reason for me to make it harder for you. But I want you to go in here and, I'm just telling you, it's going to be dry reading.
Yeah, like I said, I was already kind of like going around it.
What's your least favorite exercise?
I gotcha.
No, I'm actually asking you, what is your least favorite? What do you hate to do, but you do it anyway?
They used to be, I could say they used to be burpees, and now I don't mind them because I did them.
Well, there you go. So this is your burpees, and we've got to get you to the place where you don't mind it so much.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Between now and next week, I want you to look through these documents. Amy and I are going to look through them as well. We'll come back together and we'll talk about what did we figure out? What do we think? And what do we think the regs tell us we can do in Michigan? Okay.
Yeah. And again, forgive me because I didn't write it down. It's look up homeschooling.
I'm texting it to you. I texted you this link, but I want you to, you're looking on the, it's michigan.gov. Well, you're going to look up Michigan Department
of Education.
Yep. This is in the materials for this week. When you watch the video, Look for homeschool and look for non-public school. Those are the key words that'll help you to find what this website has. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for texting me that stuff.
You're welcome. It's going to be burpees. Do a few at a time. Do a little bit every day. You wouldn't sit and do all the burpees for the week on one day, right?
Correct. So that's what I did a little bit with the schooling stuff. Like I was like, all right, let's do another one today.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Right. One a day. Do one a day. And look, this is not meant to punish you or be unfun. Some people really love the research part. It's just to give you a sense of what's out there. I noticed that you didn't have too much about tuition. We'll have to figure out, we'll have to be creative to find out what people are charging. It might mean you need to get a friend of yours to call some of those schools and ask. The public schools, there's a way to do that. You can look up cost per student on their website. They have a number that they use, which is it's the amount of tax funds that they take in per student that they have to spend. We want to know those numbers because we want your tuition to be comparable, and we want you to be able to talk to people about the fact that I'm living in Seneca Valley School District. The cost per student ratio is $13,500. So when I go to charge $25,000 for this elite, 4-student tutoring program, I need to be able to talk to parents about why I'm charging almost twice as much as the local school district. What is it that I'm going to be doing with their students that is unlike anything Seneca does or can possibly do? And why is there value in that? So part of the research is going to go into, so we're really coming at this from a business stance. We're going to create elevator pitches and value statements. We're going to be able to talk with prospective families about the kinds of social and emotional and academic items that we can increase in students, and ones that things that happen that we can decrease. In fact, that's what we were talking about on the call yesterday. So you might want to check out the recording. But we're just building block. We're doing foundational pieces. Laying the concrete or pouring the concrete foundation is not the sexy part of house building, right? It's the putting up the walls and the frames and picking out the trim and the furniture and all that. But you can't, you don't go shopping for the furniture till the house is built.
I know. And I hear you on regarding the understanding the information better.
Yeah.
I just realized I guess I should probably look at because there's quite a few like online hockey schools. I need to probably figure out how much they're charging too.
Good. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, because I did ask a friend like how much like a public school costs, and they did say it was free, but there was a certain amount of taxes that went towards it.
It is technically free, but it's not, because the taxes are raised from property taxes. So everybody's chipping in. But in my mind, and we're going to keep talking about this every time, it's actually not free. You're contributing, and so am I. The parents of the students are, based on the home that they live in, they're contributing to their child's education financially. However, that free education comes with some serious liabilities. It comes with the threat of, with all these code red drills and the threat of violence and bullying. And, there's a lot of things that are happening to kids in public schools that make it less worth the free cost.
Right.
And we're going to want you to be able to talk with parents about that. Can you ensure a child's safety all day, every day in a way that they can't have in their public school? Can you create a much healthier, happier, well-adjusted student? That's worth paying for.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
We're undoing old thinking in your brain too, in addition to all of this work too. So I know it feels uncomfortable. You're doing great. You're actually more engaged than a lot of our other clients, which we really like. So don't worry. Okay, you're doing great.
Appreciate you guys. All right, tell Amy since she fell off, like thank her for me, and I'll go base next week then.
Yeah, next week we're going to touch base on legal stance that you can take. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Mara. Have a good day.
Yep. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.